I'm Richard Nongard with SuccessFit.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a delicious and a super healthy soup. This is called Tom Yum. Maybe you've had it at your favorite Thai restaurant and you wish that you had some at home. Well, it's simple to make, provided you can round up all the ingredients, but once you have them, it doesn't take too much time, and it has two wonderful spices in it. One is lemongrass. Lemongrass has been shown in studies to actually lower blood pressure, and the other one is Galangal. European mystics called this the spice of life that was given by God to ward off ill health. It's also been shown to play a role in the overall health and sustaining a healthy metabolic rate. It's used in Malaysia and Indonesia mixed with lime juice as a tonic, which can actually become an aphrodisiac. And it's got a wonderful flavor. It's related to the ginger family, so if you didn't have any, you could substitute it. If you live near an Asian market, all of these things are going to be easy to come by. If you don't live near an Asian market, well, you can probably buy most of these things on the internet. I'm going to show you now how to make Tom Yum soup. I'm going to lay out all the ingredients for you, then we're going to combine this, and you're going to see how simple and easy it is to make this delicious Tom Yum soup. The first thing that I'm going to do is cover the ingredients. Now, because this is a soup, we have to make a stock first. The reason why we're not buying seafood stock at the store is because that's often full of sodium, and we want this to be without any added salt. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a pound of shrimp, the shrimp with the tail and the head. You might have to go to the Asian market to get that, but you'll be able to find it. Then you're going to peel the heads and the tails and the shells off, and you're going to put them in another bowl. What's going to happen here is we're going to put the shells and the shrimp heads and the tails, we're going to put that in 5 cups of water. We're going to bring it to a boil and let it all boil together for 20 minutes. Then we're going to let it sit for another 20 minutes. Then we're going to strain the shells and the fish heads, what's left of them, from the water, and we're going to use that as our stock. So the first thing we need is a pound of shrimp. Okay. The next thing we need, of course, is to separate the shells. And so here they are. Now, some of you might have a hard time finding the galangal. You can, in fact, at any Asian market buy pickled galangal, and that'll work just fine. The other thing, of course, is lemongrass. This is a whole lemongrass, and the leaves and the stalks here are often used as a flavoring in soup. The only part that's edible, really, is this this bulb here at the bottom. You can also buy, as I usually do, the pickled lemongrass. It's absolutely delicious, and it'll store for a while. You can use this in a lot of recipes. I'll put in the material accompanying this the exact measurements for everything. Also, bamboo shoots. Again, you can buy this fresh at any Asian market, or you can also buy it at can. Now, there's something called Tom Yum paste. This is really a chili paste. It's absolutely delicious, and this chili paste is not necessary, but I like it because it just adds a tremendous amount of flavor to it. The next thing that we're going to use are some fresh ground chili paste. This is absolutely delicious, and this is going to, again, give it more flavor. If we have the Tom Yum paste, we don't need to add quite as much of this because there is a lot of it already in the Tom Yum paste. Now, we're also going to need some mushrooms. You can use any mushroom you want. I've got a big bowl here of Shitake mushrooms because I think that they're absolutely wonderful. And I'm also going to add some Enoki mushrooms. These Enoki mushrooms, these are pretty delicious. They have a tremendous amount of texture, and that's great in soup. You might have a hard time finding these at various places, but really any mushroom you want to use is fine. You're also going to want to get some kaffir lime leaves. These are absolutely delicious. These give us flavor in our soup as our soup is boiling together. Also, the juice of 2 limes, and I have here some frozen squid rings that I've purchased at the Asian market. Adding any type of calamari, squid to this, any other seafood, fish, fish heads to the stock, all of that is absolutely tremendous and wonderful. I also have some fresh red chilies. Now, these are extremely hot. You can use red jalapenos. You can use the red bird eye chilies like I have here, or any other chilies. I also have some bean sprouts, and I'm going to use this as a garnish on top when I'm done with it. I also have some freshly cut onion, And I also have some tomatoes here on the vine. These are absolutely delicious. They're perfectly right, they're firm, and I love that in my soup. Now, one thing, anytime you're preparing a soup, you want to cut your vegetables small enough so that a person can easily eat them on their spoon without the piece being too big to eat. Nobody can really cut soup, so the key to making good soup is to cut those pieces small enough. Now we're going to go, and I'm going to teach you how to make the stock now that we have all the ingredients rounded up. All right, the water is boiling, so what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to add in the shrimp shells, the shrimp heads, any fish heads if I had any, and this is going to make the broth. The other thing I left out of my ingredient list, by the way, was fish sauce. Fish sauce is something that you can get at any Asian market, and we're going to use that here in just a little while. But I'm going to add all the shrimp heads, all the shrimp parts, etc. By the way, you can make stock out of anything. You can take your old vegetable peelings, you can put them in the freezer, and then you can simply boil them and make a stock. I'm going to let these boil for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to let them simply sit and for about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to strain them, and I'll have a seafood stock that I've made here with no added salt. Well, the shrimp is boiling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off 5 slices of the Galangal. Now, this is really hard to cut. You're going to want good knives. For example, I'm using a set of Henkel's knives. It's really important if you're going to cook that you have good knives. But I'm going to cut this as thin as I possibly can. And I'm going to cut 5 very thin slices. Being careful here, of course, not to cut myself. Okay. I'm also going to cut the lemongrass. Now, we're going to keep the stalks because we're going to boil this with our soup, but we're not going to eat the stalks. Instead, the bulbous part we're going to take and we're going to cut that off about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and the bottom layer, we're just going to peel that off. So we have that there. So we just peel off that bottom layer. That's the part that's been sitting around the grocery store. It's not real tender either, but these hearts are extremely tender. And I'm just going to cut these very, very fine. And then I'm going to cut up the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to cut up the bamboo shoot, I'm going to cut up the calamari, the shrimp's already been peeled. I'm going to cut up the rest of the things, and I'm going to use those with my soup here in a few minutes. All right, while the stock's boiling, I've got 2 bowls here. One has my shrimp, almost a pound of shrimp, and I've also cut up the shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to say a cup and a half of shiitake mushrooms, and I'm going to add those to the shrimp. And then I'm going to take the other mushrooms and I'm going to cut these the long way so they continue to remain long and stringy, and I'm just going to add them to this bowl here. We're going to boil the rest of the ingredients together with the stock for a while, and then we're going to add this bowl. So this bowl is going to stay off to the side because that's the very last thing that we're going to put on. Now I'm going to add to the galangal and the lemongrass the rest of the ingredients, again, all cut up, and put them in this bowl, because when this stock is ready, we're just going to put that in and boil it for a few minutes also. Alright, what I've done now is I've cut up about 1/4 of an onion, and I've cut up, I don't really even know, I'm going to say 1/4 of a cup of bamboo shoots. One of the cool things about bamboo shoots is you can buy them in sort of a stringy cut, already cut at the Asian market. You can use that in your soups instead of using pasta. I've also included 2 of the red peppers. Now, you can make this as spicy as you want to. I have not included the seeds. That's what really gives it its kick. I want it a little more mild, and I already have the chili paste, and I already have the tom yum paste as well that I'm going to be adding. So these will give it some texture, but I'm not including the seeds, and it'll give it a little bit of color. Alright, what I've done now is I've added the chili paste to this bowl, and I've also added a little bit of the tom yum paste. Now, it does have MSG in it, which is a salt, so if you want to exclude that, you certainly can. It's not essential. If you do exclude it, well, maybe add a little bit of paprika, maybe a little bit more chili, but it's not essential, but I think it really gives it a pretty authentic flavor. Then the juice of 2 limes, and we'll just squeeze the limes over the bowl just like this. And there's juice of 1 lime, and lime number 2. You can use 1.5 limes. I tend to like lime, so I'm adding 2 full limes. you don't have to stick to the measurements exactly. For example, as the stock was cooking, I decided to add 2 more cups of water because I'm going really heavy on these ingredients. And in the end, after the stock boils and after it sits for a while, you probably want about 6 to 7 to 8 cups, depending on how many ingredients you're going to add to it. The final thing here is to cut up my tomatoes and add these to this bowl also. What I'm doing now is really pretty easy. I have another pot, and I'm just simply going to pour this in here over a strainer, and that'll separate the shells and the shrimp heads from the water. And now I'm going to use this one to cook it. Here's my stock right here, and in the end, I'm going to say it's probably about. Because remember, I added some water. I'm going to say there's probably about 6 cups left. And then what I'm going to do is bring it to a boil. Turn this water all the way up here on high, or turn the stock up here on high, and I'm going to add the tomatoes, the bamboo shoot, the lemongrass. I'm going to put the stalks in there, let it cook, the chili, the tom yum paste, the lime leaves, the galangal. Now, when this soup is done, there are a couple things in the soup that we use for flavor that aren't actually going to be eaten, like the lime leaves, like the galangal, but it gives it a tremendous flavor. You simply push those things off to the side. In the other bowl, I have the calamari, I have the shrimp, and I have the mushrooms. We're going to let this boil for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to put the other ingredients in, because those mushrooms are going to cook super quick. Same with that shrimp, same with that calamari. Alright, I've had it now for about 6 or 7 minutes, all on medium heat, sort of a gentle boil, boiling all together. Now I'm going to add the seafood, and I'm going to add the mushrooms. And another great thing to add to this is a little bit of fried tofu. If I have any, I'm going to throw that in too. It's been on medium heat for about 12 minutes now. I tasted it. It's pretty spicy, absolutely delicious. Looks wonderful. We're going to put it in this Asian style bowl. We're going to add a little bit of bean sprout as garnish, and we're going to top it off with a leaf of fresh basil as garnish. Serve it up. Yum. Well, it's perfect. The broth is fantastic. The shrimp perfect. The calamari is tender and wonderful. I've got it here in a bowl with a little bit of bean sprout, a little basil on the side. My friend Richard and Jennifer, they own an Asian restaurant here in Tulsa called Bali Fusion. It's absolutely fantastic. This is so good. I'm going to bring some over to Jennifer and let her try it. In the meantime, this is a delicious and a healthy recipe that you can make at home. The hard part's rounding up the ingredients, but again, you can buy them on the internet or from any Asian market. These are common supplies that can be found everywhere. If you want to know more about losing weight, eating healthy, and developing a lifestyle where you eat whole and natural foods, check out my website at www.successfit.com.